Yo, 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 yo. What's good, people? It's your boy Jason Gooner. We're back in the studio, people. It's another episode of Reasoning Time. This is episode 14, where we discuss all the latest Jamaican news, at least all the news that I would like to discuss in the Jamaican football space. Today, we have some topics on the board, and we're going to tell you how the show is going to go tonight, or today, I should say, or whenever you're watching this. So the first topic is going to be the JPL administrative fiasco, right? We just say JPL because we have some news out of Jamaica of a possible point deduction for the league leaders on Pleasant Football Academy. And we have been doing some research and some digging and diving, trying to find all we can about the information in regards to what's going on. So we're gonna basically look at what would be out there in print, what we have been able to find behind the scenes, and we're gonna put it all together and have the discussion about this whole situation and try to see how we can avoid it in the future. Seems to be too regularly teams are falling under the the watchful eye of the admin when it comes on to player eligibility, transfers, fielding players that should be suspended, all of these things. And we want to figure out how we can get away from these being so regular of an occurrence, right? So we're going to talk about that today. Then we have also JFF Live put out on their site. I think it came out today for non-members. Warner Brown's interview. So we're going to discuss a little bit from that interview. I thought he had some very poignant thoughts, and I'm just going to basically pick apart what he was saying and try to make sense of some of what he said. And we'll have a discussion around that interview, and then that will be a nice segue into the striker pool for the summer. We have been trying to find the right blend of strikers, whether it's the starter, whether it's the options off the bench in the last windows in particular. So we're just going to have a little check on strikers out there that, maybe could have represented Jamaica in the past, haven't represented us yet, and see where our options would really lie. So yeah, that will be basically the format and for the show today. As you know, on this program, we like to try to bring thoughtful, thought-provoking content, try to enhance the discussion, maybe look at it from a different angle sometimes as well, and just try to, have some solutions from the conversation. That's always the best thing or the best result we can get from any of these platforms that you see on YouTube. Sometimes, it's going to be some fun as well, but I think today the goal is to try to get to the where we are, where we stand, and how we can try to fix some of these issues and why we keep running into some of these issues, right? I think there's a lot of things that we can look at to maybe improve the situations as far as the running of the local leagues and the local things are concerned. All right, RR said up top. Sean said blessings, bless up, Sean. Go on. Bam, 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 bam. Big up, big up. You'll never walk alone. 20. Yes, that is it, RR. It is official. Liverpool gets crowned champions. Well deserved as well. Big season they have had. Bless up Joseph Brown. Big up Bounty Killer. Biggest fan every time. Where he says something is fishy, Sheridan. Boy, I mean, I tell you, something not right. Something stink. El Mix, big up yourself. Oh, go on. Yeah, man, we're there, man. Yeah, man, we're there, El Mix. Big up yourself. All right, people. So, how I want to do it, people, I'm going to start with the whole JPL situation. Now, what I want to do, yeah, man, like up the video, make them know from early, people. As soon as you drop in, you see it scrolling on the bottom there. Like, share, and subscribe to Jason Gooner TV. That is very, very important of you to do. All right, people. So, it's quite a story, people, quite a story out of Jamaica in regards to the points tally in the Jamaica Premier League. I got wind of this about 3 days ago, that there could be some big news coming. Shout out to Bomb Sports, been following his IG, and you guys should do the same if you want to stay up to date with a lot of the news out of Jamaica in real time. Bomb Sports definitely keeping me up to date with some of this stuff just through his Instagram page. So we saw some cryptic messages coming out of his way, and yeah, it didn't look so good for one of the teams in the JPL. We could see that it's a potential point deduction in the pipeline. Dumfries eat Suriname vegetable. Yo, Dumfries play wicked yesterday. Yeah, man, that game was excellent game. Both games were good. I mean, I think obviously the spectacle of the Arsenal game wasn't as much with the goals only being 1-0. But I think tactically, me, somebody that likes to analyze the game, I really enjoyed the first leg because I thought it was two tacticians trying to get over on the other. Enrique definitely had the better game plan starting out. And I think I could see some adjustments that Arteta made in game. And those little things to me are very intriguing. So I like the first leg. The second leg to me was not so much about tactics, more about one team having a philosophy, the other team having a philosophy, and it was just a philosophy clash, and that usually makes for an exciting game. In this case, it did not disappoint with a 3-3. So I thought from different aspects, both games were very, very enjoyable, but you have to kind of be a football nerd to like the first leg for the reasons I liked it, you know what I mean? Yeah, bro, I enjoyed the ball game, both games. Yeah, man, both games really good, man. I mean, that's all I can ask for as a football fan. Obviously, when I watch football, I might be watching from a little different perspective than just a fan because I know I'll probably be doing content surrounding the game and the analysis and the tactics of it. So I watch it a little differently, maybe, but still, as a fan, even as a fanalist, as some people would dub me, I thought it was very enjoyable for all reasons, entertainment and football reasons. So yeah, man, very, very good advert for the top league in European football. Champions League semis didn't disappoint, I don't think. All right, so first, people, let's just follow a timeline of traditional media. Now, I know that sports commentary talked about it last night, Oral Tracy and TVJ. I don't have the footage from that. I'm sure on his program today, I didn't listen to it, but his call-in show, I'm sure it was discussed. Didn't listen to that. But what I have been doing is kind of just through my sources behind the scenes, trying to gather the information, what I can find in traditional print media. I have tried to keep up with everything, right? So yeah, this is Bless Up Father Bling Wagwan. So this is basically a chronological order of the print media I've seen on this story. And I'm going to start with IRI FM's article that was on the 30th, which would have been yesterday. They came out with this. This is the first time I saw it in print anywhere in Jamaica. Maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this is where I saw it first. And it was from IRI FM, Wade Brown. So this is what Wade Brown had to say. So Mount Pleasant's fate hangs in the balance with JFF Competitions Committee to rule on protests lodged against JPL leaders. The JFF Competitions Committee is on the verge of making a significant decision regarding the future of runaway JPL league leaders Mount Pleasant just days before the final round of matches this Sunday. A formal protest has been lodged against the St. Anne-based club with serious implications for their standing in the league. The protest centers around the club's recent acquisition of Haitian players Angelo Exelos and Judy Johnson. Reports suggest that a competing top 6 team has raised concerns. Keep that in mind, people. A competing top 6 team has raised concerns regarding the eligibility of both players who were initially registered with Real Hope FC. These players participated in the opening round of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, playing for Real Hope against the Mexican club Cruz Azul on February 4 and 11. Now, why are those dates so important, people? Some of you might know or might not know this. The January transfer window in the JPL mirrors a lot of the leagues around the world, which runs from, I think the 1st of Jan to the 31st of Jan. So for them to have played 2 matches after the transfer window, that would lead me to believe that it would have been, it wouldn't have been possible for them to play for Mount Pleasant in this current season, just based on what I know about, transfers and when they are deemed to go through and what that means for that player that would have been transferred. He cannot then turn up for his club after the 31st or his old club or the selling club and play, right? So those dates are important, and we're going to keep those dates in mind as we go through the story. However, between April 10 and April 27, both Exelos and Johnson made 6 appearances for Mount Pleasant in the JPL, despite having reportedly been contracted to the team during the January transfer window. This raises a major issue. FIFA, CONCACAF, and JFF regulations do not allow players to be registered with more than one team at the same time. Okay. Mount Pleasant, who finished as runners-up in last year's Premier League final, currently sit at the top of the league with 90 points, 15 points ahead of second place Montego Bay United with just one round of matches to play. The team has already secured one of the two automatic semi-final slots. However, should the JFF Competitions Committee rule against them, Mount Pleasant could lose up to 15 points and 30 goals, which would drastically alter the standings and their position heading into the playoffs. The St. Anne-based team is scheduled to play relegation-threatened Humble Lion in its final preliminary round match at the Effortville Community Center on Sunday. So as I said, people, that was the first time that I was able to find any kind of article or print on the matter. And I'd heard about it a couple of days prior to this, right? Mount Pleasant have money, so them give it under the table and the deal done. That's how it goes, when one team have a lot of money. Yes, Mount Pleasant operating like the club with the money. We know that they have it, so it's not a surprise. But at the end of the day, it's, I think, based on what I'm seeing, and let me not start to put my take on anything yet. Let me just put the information on the screen first, and then we'll move on from there. Excuse me, people. All right, so the next one I saw was the Gleaner, which I saw bright and early this morning, and the headline was JPL shakeup with a question mark. And they have similar information, but I'm going to read all three because even though the information is similar, I think there are certain points that are a little different in all three. So Mount Pleasant could lose at least 15 points over eligible players. Relegation top six battles could be turned on their heads, right? Because a lot of teams would be affected. Any of the teams that they would have beaten over this time when they use these players, they would get those points that they would have lost. So it's going to be intriguing to see what it means for the foot of the table, the playoff spots, and all these things. All right, so this one is Livingston Scott with the Jamaica Gleaner. According to a high-placed member of the JFF. Wow, so that's quite a start there. A highly placed member of the JFF. I should do a poll in the comment sections and put some names of the JFF and see who you guys think would be that highly placed member. JPL leaders Mount Pleasant are said to be docked 15 points for the ineligible use of players and for surpassing the quota set for the number of overseas internationals on the field at any one time. So that information there, the surpassing the quota set, that was not in the article from IRFM. So that's the first piece of new information in this article, that they would have surpassed the quota set for the number of overseas internationals on the field at any one time. Now, it is in the bylaws of the JPL that you can field or name up to 6 international players or players not Jamaican nationals in your team at any one time. And we're going to see what game they would have breached that rule as well this season. The Gleaner understands that defending champions Cavalier have lodged, okay, so they were saying a top 6 team in the IRFM. Livy and Jamaica Gleaner have put it out there. The Gleaner understands that defending champions Cavalier have lodged a protest against the 2023-24 JPL winners for violating the rules of the competition, and that there could be huge implications to the standings if the St. Anne-based team is found guilty. The protest centers around the club's 2 recent Haitian acquisitions, Angelo Exelos and Julie Johnson. The 2 players were registered with Real Hope FC and played for the Haitian club up until February, after the January window had closed. The players last played in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which we heard in the last article. Yes, and we know about the games between the 10th and the 27th in the JPL that they would have played as well. Okay, so that's the same thing. Can't be on the 2 clubs at one time. Now, drastic changes. Mount Pleasant are currently 15 points clear at the top of the table with 90 points, ahead of Mobe with only 1 round of games to go. If the JFF Competitions Committee rule against them, they could lose up to 15 points and 30 goals, which we know already. And they go a step further now and tell us the 6 matches in question. So follow with me now, people. The 6 matches with 2 Haitians have been against Racing United, Chapelton Maroons, Arnett Gardens, Mobe, Cavalier, and Malines United. With the exception of Cavalier, Mount Pleasant defeated all those teams who would benefit from those points if Mount Pleasant are found guilty. If the ruling goes against Mount Pleasant, the two teams directly below them, Moby and Arnett, would gain 3 points each and climb into first and second and 78 and 76 points respectively, while Mount Pleasant would slip to third and 75 points. So there you go, people. The Gleaner went one step further and kind of tell you points-wise what would happen and how it would look for the top of the table, right? So it would have major implications on the relegation battle as well, and they're going to explain below. 11th place Mullines and 12th place Chapelton would get 3 points, and that would secure their places in the league next season because Dunbeholden could not catch them from 33 points. Sorry, not Dunbeholden, Humble Lion. Humble Lion also play Mount Pleasant in their final game on Sunday, which, if the points have been docked, becomes a game that Mount Pleasant would really be gunning to win, as opposed to them being on 90 points and maybe, giving some fringe players a chance, which maybe opens the door to Humble Lion. That wouldn't be the case because they would want to get back into that top 2 spots and skip the quarterfinal if possible. With only the possibility of catching Harborview on 36 points, Humble Lion could count themselves doomed because the Stars of the East have an 11-goal advantage in the goal difference column, which I doubt they'd be able to make up in one game. It's possible that Mount Pleasant could lose even more points for using more than the prescribed number of international players on the pitch at one time against Racing. Now, this, to me, people, is a bit of a mistake by the Gleaner because the Racing game would have been one of the games they already would have lost points for due to fielding 2 players that would have been ineligible based on them playing for their other club after the window closed in February. So you can't lose 6 points from the one game. So the Racing game, you wouldn't lose double points. So I think that's a bit of an error there on the side of the Gleaner. The overseas players on that day included Celestine, Joseph, Angelo, Doxley, Judy Johnson, Emerson Lass, and Clifford Thomas. So that would equal to 7 players, 1 more than the 6 that is allowed. So yeah, this I don't think would help Racing so much because they couldn't get 6 points from the one game, because basically 51 is where they would be if the game is deemed to be a forfeit, and they'd get 3 goals as well. But the article is saying they'd go to 54 because they have broken another rule, but you can't get 6 points from one game. Then they would need for Waterhouse to lose to Dunbeholden. So all of that really is not in play. Racing wouldn't be able to catch anybody, even if they get the 3 points from that one fixture, because I think right now they're on 48, if I'm not mistaken. So, all right, let me see where they are. Let me make sure that I'm not talking foolishness, people. Premier League. I'm just checking the table real quick because they can only get 1 point. So it's not like they would be able to get so many points to catch up. So let's see. Standings. Actually, all right. So this is correct then, people. So they're on 51 now. So if they get the 3 points, they will go to 54. Tivoli and Waterhouse were not amongst the games that Mount Pleasant used ineligible players, so they don't have a chance to get 3 points. So yes, Racing would get to 54 and potentially could leapfrog both of those teams if the results go their way on the last day. Meanwhile, the JFF official who spoke on condition of anonymity pointed out that Cavalier didn't seem to have anything to gain from the protests, given they were the only team to beat Mount Pleasant in the 6 matches they used the 2 players. The fact that this person, the JFF official who is anonymous, pointed out that Cavalier didn't have anything to gain or didn't seem to have anything to gain leads me to believe that potentially this JFF official is some sort of affiliate to Cavalier, because he made it necessary to talk about that. Rules are rules, says Sheridan. Absolutely, rules are rules. Should the national players stay in Tier 2 or move to a JPL on loan? It's a good question, RR. I don't know which national player is really. I think the only national player or players that have been in the squads of late would be Robinho Garden and Tyreek McGee. So based on what Butler said all season, I don't think Tyreek will be in Jamaica past the summer. But we know that could just be lip service as well. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Robinho Garden will probably not be on the island either. So I think those are the only two players really that you would be thinking about. You don't want the national players to be playing in tier 2, but I think both of those players should get opportunities. Big up, Jason. This one is not over yet. Apparently, Mount Pleasant have a good appeal. If it will work, is another thing. Okay, JPL fan. Yes, I have heard that it's basically gonna be up to them now to state their case. I had an idea of what they could say, but it's it might not work out the way I was thinking. Bless up, Chris. What go on? Beer madness are going over, so brother. That word again, quota. Yes, it's a word that pops up a lot in the football in Jamaica. Float management, blessings. What go on? Anonymous. Yeah, man, anonymous. Anonymous source that wanted to point out that Cavalier have nothing to gain, That was a bit of a giveaway for me. But I'm not going to speculate, people. I have no idea who it is. People was asking me, I don't know. It will probably come out at some point, though. All right, so this is the third print article that I was able to find. This is from the Star. This is also Livingston. So I think it might just be the same thing, 4 and 11, no response. Since Monday, Star Sports tried on numerous occasions to get a response from Mount Pleasant FA, but up to press time, calls to the phone of Paul Christie, the club sporting director, went unanswered. And usually Mr. Christie talks to people, so they are definitely hard at work trying to deal with how they're going to approach this situation. I'm sure today probably would be the day when they have to sit in front of anybody because, the games are starting on Sunday. So teams would want to know where they stand in this table going into Sunday, I'm sure. All right, so this is just a recap and a rehash of everything, the separate issue as well. So this is just all the same information from the last article. Livy just putting it out to both publications. So the Star and the Glean are pretty much echoing each other. But that's pretty much the print that I found. Now, people, I was lucky enough to get my hands on the formal complaint. And let me tell you, people, it is quite, I would figure they would want to make sure that they have a unified response. Once they have appealed, once they've figured out how they're going to appeal, and then they'll, eventually probably start talking to people. But yes, I think that's probably smart on their part to not make any public statement as of right now, because it's too much in the ear as of what's going on. So you have to kind of wait and be strategic in how you approach that. All right, so people, I was able to get eyes and hands on the document that was actually sent to the competitions committee, people. So we're going to show it because it doesn't matter. This is something that was put. It's making the rounds. It's circulating, and yeah, I'm going to put it on my screen. I don't think there's any problem with that. So this is what was sent from Cavalier to the JFF competition committee chairman. I believe the chairman of the committee, yes, is Gregory Daly. He's the competition department chairman. So this is who would deal with any kind of thing like this in terms of disciplinary, and they would be the ones, with the fate of Mount Pleasant in their hands. So this was the document sent, and we're just going to go through it and try to see, I think it's a very detailed document. I think that it makes it very difficult if you're a Mount Pleasant supporter or a fan to go against what is said in this document, because they did do their due diligence. And yeah, let's just look at it here. So it says, "Dear sir, based on recent observations, it has come to our attention that Mount Pleasant Football Academy registered the following Haitian players outside of the Jamaican transfer window and registration periods for new players." And they named 3 players. So the articles were stating that Angelo and Judy were pretty much the 2 in question. Now, they have gone a step further and named a 3rd player, Clifford Thomas. And they have also put dates of when they have signed. So February 3rd, February 26th, and February 28th of this year, 2025. And obviously, right away, there's an issue, and they highlight it right below. They say the source. They highlight it. There's their source. So Transfermarkt, Soccerway.com, and SofaScore are who they have looked at to deem these to get these dates. They have 3 different places showing that date, and SofaScore has no record of the latter 2 being transferred to Mount Pleasant FA on or before January 31, 2025. So then they go in further now. They say the FIFA regulations on the status and transfer of players is the sole and final document on the topic. No national association can have any rules, regulations, customs, or practice that circumvent those regulations. These regulations apply to all member associations with 2 inputs from the MA. And the 2 inputs that they use are the transfer windows and the registration periods. Member associations are allowed to choose 2 transfer windows. The first one at the beginning of the season lasts for about 12 weeks, and the second one in the middle of the season lasts for approximately 4 weeks. These inputs must be communicated to FIFA via the transfer matching system, or TMS, at least 1 year before the season starts. All right. And then they say, please see FIFA regulations 6, section 1 and 2, and they put them in here as well. Players may only be registered during one of the 2 annual registration periods fixed by the relevant association. As an exception to this rule, a professional whose contract has expired prior to the end of a registration period may be registered outside that registration period. So that would make sense of some of the transactions that you would see happening in February, March, April, as long as the player in question's previous contract would have expired prior to the ending of the window, just prior to that. So before the January 31st ending of the window, they can then be signed outside of the window as a free agent, right? So that's what you see sometimes happen when injuries happen in a season or close to the end of a season. People need numbers. If they can't get it from their youth system, they will go out and try to find free agents, right? Associations are authorized to register such professionals provided due consideration is given to the sporting integrity of the relevant competition. Where a contract has been terminated with just cause, FIFA may take provisional measures in order to avoid abuse. All right, so that first part is really what would have been talking to this particular situation. Then 2 says the first registration period shall begin after the completion of the season and shall normally end before the new season starts. Normally, this period may not exceed 12 weeks. The second registration period normally occurs in the middle of the season and may not exceed 4 weeks. All right, so that is the summer window and the January transfer window, right? Some places would call it the winter window, but Jamaica don't have that, so we'll just say January transfer window, right? So in addition, now they have some more articles, and these are now referring to the JPL regulations, moving away from FIFA's regulations. So putting it more in the realm of local football procedures and practices, right? So Article 1713, and this is Article 17 from Section 13 to 15, basically. And it says the transfer of players shall only be done during the 2 registration periods. So here they are now putting to you the actual periods when these things should occur. So it's the 1st of July to the 6th of September, and the 1st of Jan to the 31st of Jan, and that would have been for this season, right? And then Section 14 says all transfer-related documents, transfer form, and loan agreement shall be approved by the parish association that the player is registering with and moving from. So, of course, when it's an international situation, it would have to be from the association, from the club selling, right? So, in the case of Excelus and Judy, for example, we would be talking about Real Hopes, people having to do their signing and stamping. Transfer document is to be uploaded to the player profile on the JFF Connect platforms for all professional players. Remember that, people. So in the league, they use JFF Connect platform or FIFA Connect platform, right? And then they talk about amateur transfers, which doesn't really pertain to this. The deadline for requesting JFF's intervention for transfer-related issues is 7 days prior to the closing of the respective transfer windows. So if they had needed some kind of intervention of some sort, or some kind of way to, let the players play in that CONCACAF game for their old club, they would have had to have had the JFF intervene or request some kind of special circumstance, which would have had to taken place 7 days prior to the closing of the window, which clearly, since they're referencing it, I would think wasn't done. Where there are transfer-related disputes, the ruling of the JFF, I think that is Competitions Committee, is final, I think. I don't know what CRC stands for, so I need to figure out what that stands for. The JFF shall direct its affiliated association to approve release of player within 48 hours of its decision. So basically, if they make a decision where the player he'll have to be released within 48 hours if there's something deemed to be an issue. So they also said that they have attached the email memorandum, which was sent by the Paris Association to the clubs, signed by Mr. Dennis Strong, guiding clubs and reminding them of the strict adherence of the transfer and registration periods outlined in the regulation. So basically saying, look, all these clubs that are playing would have been well aware of sanctions and what are the rules and what you should be doing. Now, here's some more background information on everything. Both players, Excelus Angelo and Judy Johnson, played for Real Hope FC in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup and Champions Cup on February 4 and 11 for a total of 90 minutes plus extra time against Mexican team Cruz Azul at Estadio Cibao in Dominican Republic and Estadio Olímpico University in Mexico City in the CONCACAF Champions Cup competition. And they have video links as well, so they are not playing around, people. The players also played in the following local JPL games. So here are the 6 games in question that would have been mentioned in the articles: Racing FC, Chapelton FC, Arnett Gardens FC, Montego Bay United, Cavalier FC, and Malines FC. And they also list which players would have played in those games, players 1, 2, and 3, referenced from this right here: Clifford Thomas being 1, Excelus Angelo being 2, and Judy Johnson being 3. So not only do they show you the games, but they show you which of the players would have been playing in those games or on the match card in those games. And they do say, it's to verify the claims above found in the appendix of the respective match cards. So they do attach the match cards as well, people. So they're not playing around. So now they move on to section 18, which deals with registration of players, right? So they're going through their case, people. Very, very thorough. That's one thing I will give them. A lot of people say that the professionalism ain't up, but the professionalism of this report is really good, I must say. Bless up Sadler, bless up Chorus. Bless up Coffee. We're there, bro. Speed your bad mind. Your time of forward in Jamaica football. Leave JFF alone. Focus on Cavaliers. Stop use the players. Pay them better salaries for them not to leave. So Travis says speed is just bad mind. Joseph, I have 2 questions. How did these players get registered if they were ineligible? Remembering with VAR they couldn't register players. Were signed but loaned to their old club and MP recalled? All right, so the first question is one that I think is at the base of why I feel these matters are so ridiculous and they shouldn't be happening in the first place. If you have a competitions committee, you have members of staff of all the clubs all in place, and their goal is to make sure that the teams fielded are all eligible. Like everybody that you put out on the pitch is eligible. I would like to know all of this information would have been, the minute that a player is signed by Mount Pleasant in the January window, put on their database in the January window. The minute I see them play on the 4th and the 11th, if I am on the team of people who are responsible for input in terms of on the systems, which players play for which clubs and which clubs own which players, I would immediately notify Mount Pleasant and look into the matter back in February. What I find, Joseph Brown, and what I don't like about how it seems they go about doing this type of things, they will know something is wrong, and instead of stopping it at the source, they would rather them play so that they can punish the people afterwards. But what is the point of that? There's a reason why around the world you don't see teams getting docked for using ineligible players. It is one of the biggest rarities, and I'm talking reputable leagues, right? It's because they would not allow a player to even touch the field that was ineligible. When the match card is submitted, the league itself would send it back or talk to them and say, listen, this player is not eligible. He wouldn't even be able to come onto the pitch. So why can't we get to a level like that? Why? I mean, we are already keeping track of everything. I've seen the letters sent out or the email sent out every week to the teams telling them which players are deemed suspended. So all the clubs get this information. But if the league itself is sending out this information, that means the league can police it from the other side as well. So when you receive a match card on the day, you reference who is supposed to be suspended, and those players never touch the field. Right? So I think that's such an easy fix. You're already keeping track of it. So keep track of it to the point of them not touching the field as well. Because I don't see the benefit of every couple months teams getting brought up on charges. It's not a good look. And then the second question, Joseph Brown said, were they signed but loaned to their old club and recalled? Well, I don't believe that there were any loan agreement with the clubs. I would think, though, based on what we have seen them put out, that must have been the situation, because I find it so hard to believe that Mount Pleasant would sign players. Well, this is saying they signed them in February, but this is saying they signed them in February. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they could have been loaned and recalled so fast. Wouldn't they have to be recalled? Well, I guess no, you can recall a player within the window too. So, but I think it has to be like some kind of situation with injured players in your roster now or something like that. That's how I know it to be in Europe. But I know it might not be the same in Jamaica. So that whole loan thing is a possibility. But I don't know anything about that, to be honest. This have nothing to do with Whatless Fear, Dead Like Dog Duppy. Dada D, JPL loves drama. It looks so. Whatless Maggie should rat in tier 2. No drama, one man of the problem. Speed go away. All right, but Travis, how can you say one man alone are the problem if a speed for go away? What Mount Pleasant would have done is not right, Travis. If they have players that are theirs playing after the window closed for another club, and then before summer they're already playing, before the next summer window they're already playing for Mount Pleasant, then they would have made a mistake, Travis. So even though people would have said Cavalier eggs up themselves in the thing, at the end of the day, what they're bringing to the table is not, it's not like they're fishing for things that don't exist. Like this, they're giving you the proof, and this is wrong. This is wrong, and I'm getting news as I'm doing this that head's going to roll at Mount Pleasant, and a lot of the leadership is going to have to go. Administrative leadership, that is, because I don't think this is something you can really level at the technical staff. I mean, they just are tasked with technically preparing the players that the admin have put on the team or the ownership. So, you can't really throw this at the foot of the technical team. It would all fall on the admin. It would all fall on the sporting director, the secretary, all of those type of posts in that entity. Yeah, so we know people are going to put out the content today, all those following the story, because it looks like rulings have been made. I am just checking and everything. See, JPL fans say it's rumors, so allegedly some are already gone from Mount Pleasant, because it looks like they have ruled on something already. We haven't gotten the ruling just yet, But we'll be tuning into the airwaves, because I'm sure someone will drop something very soon. Bless up Nitro. Where's Football Guru when you need him? Yeah, Guru is not here today. Him soon see what I go on, man. Him soon see what I go on and forward. But no, Guru will be here too. I don't know. Maybe not though. Last time he was a bit upset with me, so maybe him taking a break. I don't know. Don't draw him out to come mash up the stream. Man, them can't mash it up, man. Them don't have them powers there. Up, Rob Smith. What go on? Yo, no for go on, brothers. Who speed inform and know? JGTV. Now get me wrong. If MPA is in breach, they should be punished. But a big football politics at play with speed is the biggest problem. Fear. Yeah, man. Bam Sports later is I think he's in the press room now, editing up his thing. So definitely check in Bam Sports for sure. Man, them a beat speed. You see it? I don't know, bro, because sometimes you have to wonder, like, yes, you can beat speed and don't like speed, but again, to me, from what I'm reading on this, if you're going to file a complaint, it has to be done this way. They're referencing articles, sections of the FIFA bylaws, the JPL regulations, and they're dotting their I's, crossing their T's. You can say them bad mind, you can say whatever, but people, these are the type of things that we have to cut out of the football. We can't have the wild west going on, people. It don't make sense. Standards important. Registration form. All right, registration of players constitutes the following. So they're going to go into the registration now. Registration form will complete names of players and officials signed by two officials of the following: the president, director, manager, and the secretary of the club. Each player shall affix his name and signature. President, secretary of the respective parish association shall sign and approve registration form indicating affiliation status of each club and bona fide character of each player and official. So yeah, to Joseph Brown question, how these things would have happened if man them was already with the other club, because Real Hope and Mount Pleasant have to both sign these things. A registered player is a bona fide member of a club and has signed a registration form for the club and has received an official ID card with player's photograph duly signed and authorized by the JFF General Secretariat. The player must be registered on the FIFA JFF Connect platform. Players signing two or more registration forms for different clubs or otherwise indicating transferring to two different clubs will not be considered registered for any club. If the player is found guilty after investigation by the JFF Disciplinary and Ethics Committee, he will be fined up to a maximum of $15,000 plus other measures as determined by the committee, and will pay to the offending 26 clubs such cost as is incurred during the incident. Approved by the JFF Disciplinary and Ethics Committee. If after investigation a club is found guilty of misrepresenting the eligibility of a player, the club will be sanctioned in accordance with Article 59 of the JFF Disciplinary Code. All right, so you can look up Article 59 of the Disciplinary Code and the Constitution. That's where you'll find that there. All right, now eligibility of players, list of players, player category, and transfer registration windows. Each club shall take the following provisions into account when selecting its representative team. All the players shall be bona fide players. It does describe what's a bona fide player, and registered players of its club who are also registered for the Jamaica Premier League. All the players shall be eligible for selection in accordance with the regulations governing the application of the JFF statutes. A player is considered illegal, ineligible if, all right, he's serving a suspension, which we have talked about previously with Veer and other clubs, his registration is not authorized or was based on false information that was provided by himself and or his club. So B is definitely where this latest allegation would fall under. Some kind of unauthorized registration or based on some falsified information. Any club found guilty of fielding an ineligible player shall forfeit the match victory of 3-0, and the resultant 3 points will be awarded to the opposing team. So we've seen that talked about in the articles, in the Gleaner, in the Star, in the IRFM as well. So we know that a 3-0 win is the verdict if they are deemed guilty of fielding the ineligible players. In addition, Article 4A4, entries and fees. Okay, so each club is mandated to lodge professional contracts for 100% of their players in their active Jamaica Premier League registration throughout the competitive season. All right. As an exceptional player, student player attending a secondary or tertiary institution in Jamaica may be allowed to register and participate in the JPL without a contract until he attains the age of 19. If a student player commences his participation before the age of 19 in a season and attains the age of 19 during the said season, the player should be allowed to complete the season without the submission of a professional contract. Additionally, the player will have to be registered during the 2 established registration periods set by the JFF. Each club participating in the JPL will be allowed to register a maximum of 5 student players. The student player declaration form must be submitted for all student players before participating in the league. Article 4A7 states a maximum of 6 players of foreign nationality, players not holding a valid Jamaican passport and or birth certificate, including players eligible to play under CARICOM rules, may be registered for each club. All 6 players may be on the field of play at any given time. All right. So they mentioned that part because they want to talk about the separate breach was also observed in the game against Mount Pleasant and Racing on April 10th, which was one of the games talked about in the first 6 there. And they named the 7 players who would make up the breach of that 6 on the match card at a time rule. The 7th player is deemed to be ineligible, and as such, any club found guilty forfeit the match, victory of 3-0. Okay, so it wouldn't be 2 3-goal victories, but yes, it would be the same punishment if they are deemed ineligible to play fielding more than the 6, right? So forgery and falsification. Now, this is where it gets a little more serious because they are making some really hefty allegations in this portion now, bringing up this section, you know. All right, let me check in back with the chat because I've read quite a few. No, I have no info on JPL. Okay, so Guru do have no info on JPL. What Speed have to do with this, asks Nitro? Well, the only thing Speed has to do with it really is his club that lodged the complaint. So I guess by extension, you know, he's caught up in it as well. Can't blame Speed here. Travis says, Brando, don't beat me. I don't even know what's going on. I'm just asking. Brando, because me not say things here, so just leave it. All right. So Travis say him now say nothing here. It's a bad look for Speed given his conflicts. Well, El Meeks, that's one way to look at it. You know, he's a part of Cavalier who is making the claim or making the allegation. So, you know, but at the end of the day, I think we should look at the merit of the allegation more so than who is bringing it, to be honest, because there's conflicts all around the league, from Speed to you know, Mount Pleasant people, whether it's admin staff, backroom staff, technical staff. There's all kind of conflicts in the Jamaican football people, and I don't think it's avoidable because of the constitution and the way it's written. You have to be involved with clubs, with parish associations to get in. So, you know, do you immediately forget about your allegiance to these places when you get into the JFF? No, you don't. So it is what it is. If you aspire to have a professional league, you need these matters addressed. Absolutely. That's the standpoint I'm looking at it from. These things need to be uprooted out of it, for sure. That's poor management, in my opinion. Yes, bless up. Mr. Chris is supposed to be the best in the game, so I really go on. He was also the man that fired Tapper before the season and cost them a spot in the championship. Yes, I thought that coaching carousel really made, you know, prevented them from doing a lot better in that competition. I have to agree with you there, Rob Smith. Greetings, Jason. Your team keeps dropping the ball. Yeah, tough one in the first leg, BM. Tough one, but we live to fight another day. The JPL becoming a professional league is a pipe dream. Mount Pleasant still got up on the first and 75 with MBU, so them still can't stop Western football. Richie Robinson, that's not true. If they're on... Oh, you're saying MBU still going to be first. Okay, yeah, that is true. But Arnett will go second because Arnett get 3 points from this whole thing, you know, Richie, if them guilty, you know. Remember, say Mobe got 78, Arnett got 76, and Mount Pleasant will fall to 75. Rules are made to be followed, but the conflict of interest is the club that filed the complaint. Why did it take 5 games? Cavalier didn't lose to Mount Pleasant. Exactly. So that's my whole thing, Sheridan. That is my beef with this thing. The games in question that would have made you think that the players are not eligible to play for Mount Pleasant would have been in February 4th and 11th. Now, I get the fact that maybe you wanted to wait and see if Mount Pleasant was actually going to use these players in the season to know. But once one of them played on April 10, why not, why wait until 5 games later? This is, to me, that don't make no sense. And then why wait until right before the playoffs when, I don't know. The timing of it is a bit fishy, as you had said in your first comment today. Warner Brown went places to play, which is good, but some people can't get the fact that something really wrong when a player like him can't keep a contract outside of the JPL. Yeah, I think DJ gigs with Warner Brown. I will talk about Warner Brown interview. Hopefully, I have time because this look like it's gonna take long. Might have to do a part 2 where we move on to Warner, and this might just be a JPL Fiasco show. Oh, so it was Cavalier who snitched. A major part of any ethics course will tell you that if you know something, you must report it. Can't blame them for reporting it. Travis, Western football, them a try stop, bro. It not happen. Yo, Richie, I was in Jamaica when it wasn't even a local overseas argument. It was really town versus country. That's when I was living in Jamaica. And I think it is a thing. But at the same time, Mount Pleasant wrong, brother. I saw it go. If this stuff is true, Mount Pleasant wrong. So we can't, in the name of injustice for Western football over the years, not to say what Mount Pleasant is alleged to have done is wrong, DJ Gigs, you chat too much. All you do I hate pan local. The youth got injured, so he went back home. Yeah, he did. That's what I was going to answer, Travis, that, it wasn't necessarily so all the club them wrong too. Well, Balaker, in regards to this particular thing, you can't just say all the club them wrong, because if you can find me another club in the league that play players since January, where they play for other clubs in a February, and them time then I will say yes, all the club them wrong. But you can't just say all the club them wrong and none of them not do what Cavalier is alleged to have done. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Me now say every club had run perfect, But this right here, that is alleged to have been done, this is terrible. This is the worst thing you could do. Talk about losing the integrity of the league, you know what I mean? I told you about Inter Miami, old slow team. Cavalier wasted a golden opportunity. Yes, he might pick some whole Argentine to do the thing, and him leave out a lot of people that could have done better for them, All right, so let's go into Section 5, the forgery and falsification article, right? And Section 6, corruption, Article 60. So, forgery and falsification, Article 59. Anyone who, during any football-related activity, creates a false document, forges a document, makes a false claim in a document with potentially legal repercussions, or uses a forged document to deceive others, will be sanctioned with a suspension for at least 6 matches. All right. If the perpetrator is an official, the body will pronounce a ban on performing any football-related activity for a period of at least 12 months. The body may pronounce a fine of at least $15,000 as well. And then Section 6, corruption. Anyone who offers promises or grants an unjustified advantage to a body of the JFF or any of its affiliates, a match official, a player, or an official on behalf of himself or a third party to incite it or him to violate FIFA regulations, will be sanctioned with a fine of at least $10,000, with a ban on performing any football-related activity, and with a ban on entering any stadium. So that is basically a lifetime ban, it look like. Passive corruption, soliciting, being promised, or accepting an unjustified advantage will be sanctioned in the same manner. And in serious cases, and in the case of repetition, sanction B may be pronounced for life. All right, so that could be for life if it gets serious and it's repetitive. In any case, the body will pronounce confiscation of the assets involved in committing the infringement. These assets will be used for the football development program. So if there's any monies that would have changed hands, they will take those and it will be put into the football development program. All right, so now they're concluding with their articles, and they say Article 5.1-2 and 10.2 of the FIFA regulations. So they're back to the FIFA regulations now. and it is in regards to the registration and the loan. So Joseph Brown, this could be a part of why they put in the loan in there as well, just to try to cover their tracks, as you were asking that question about loan. A player must be registered as an association to play for a club as either a professional or an amateur, which we read about earlier, in accordance with the provisions of Article 2. Only registered players are eligible to participate in organized football. By the act of registering, a player agrees to abide by the statutes and regulations of FIFA, the confeds, and the associations. And then they have made bold Section 2 of Article 5, where it says a player may only be registered with the one club at a time, right? Article 10(1)(2), loan of professionals. Professional may be loaned to another club on the basis of a written agreement between him and the clubs concerned. Any such loan is subject to the same rules as applied to the transfer of players, including the provisions on training, compensation, and the solidarity mechanism. Then 2 is also bold and highlighted. It says, subject to Article 5, paragraph 3, the minimum loan period shall be the time between 2 registration periods. So that answers your question there, Joseph Brown. There would be no way where they could have initiated a loan and the player come back and play prior to the start of the next season, because the minimum loan period is between the 2 registration periods, which we learned was summer and January. So he couldn't have been able to loan back to them for February and then loan back to Mount Pleasant for April. That's not possible. And they further articulate that below, where it says, therefore, Mount Pleasant could not lend the players to Real Hope after the registration and transfer period expired on January 31. If a loan was initiated, the loan period could not be less than the time between transfer periods, which means the players would not be eligible to play for Mount Pleasant until the 25-26 JPL season. If Mount Pleasant is claiming to register the players on January 31, then the players should not have played for Real Hope in the CONCACAF Champions Cup on February 4 and 11, 2025. And Cavalier go a step further to try to figure out. And before I go here, people, let me just hide that for 1 second, because this to me, this next part is really just makes it even more of a joke thing, all of this, you know. It happening at the town team, them too. Okay. So the town team, them it happen as well. All right. So Balaker, which town team sign a player after him sign and register, that player go play for another club, and then that same player play for a club in the JPL in that same period between the transfer windows? Tell me one town team whether that ball occur. Just tell me one. Want to see how many games they would use them, plus want to unsettle them before the playoffs. Speed is strategic informant. Your agenda is clear as day. You're against local born. So DJ Giggs and Travis having the customary local overseas war. Don't know what triggered it today. I think DJ Giggs was talking about Warner Brown. Not okay, yeah. So DJ Giggs talked about Warner Brown not being able to stay overseas. And Travis saw that as an opportunity to start the customary war in the chat. The 2 latest players, that's all. So they won't be losing much points. Well, based on the allegation, it's 6 games that those 2 players would have played in. You know, they're trying to include Clifford into it, but I don't know. I don't see any other team that Clifford played for. You know, he would have been gone from his time at I think it was Mocha he was at before, and they would have been out of the competition from before the January window closed. So yeah. So Joseph Brown. So Jason, if they were on MP books, wouldn't CONCACAF go after Real Hope? Question mark. If the players are registered to MP officially, what we're talking about, shouldn't it be something CONCACAF to go after Real Hope? Yes, I don't think that Real Hope is going to escape punishment in this whole thing either. But let's move on, Joseph Brown, because this might speak a little to how we got here, right? And this is also just confirming that the problems that I have with some of the JFF systems and how outdated they operate it's not just the JFF people, and it does carry over into CONCACAF as well. Because look at this madness now. How the clubs and players beat the system, two different registration systems. As such, based on documentation posited here, it is proven that both players played for Real Hope while being registered to Mount Pleasant on the FIFA Connect system after signing contracts before January 31, 2025. But to play in a CONCACAF competition, all players must be registered on the Comet system, which is used by CONCACAF. So therein lies the problem, people. The CONCACAF competition they would have played uses a completely different registration system than what FIFA and the JPL would have used. So there you go. It could be a case where these two players on the Comet system were still registered to Real Hope, which then would lead CONCACAF to believe that they are good to go to play for Real Hope in those games in February, not having any inkling about what their status is on the Connect system, which is used by the JFF and FIFA and the JPL. Both clubs knew that different systems are used to register players for the competitions. Now, this is the allegation part of this. So, Cavalier is stating that the clubs knew that the two different systems were used, and that is why they used that to take advantage of the situation. So, there would not be a flag on the players in the different competitions. Both Real Hope and Mount Pleasant played in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup, and that's crazy. So, that's crazy, people. So they're alleging that the two clubs were in cahoots to make sure that they both got what they wanted out of the situation. They would have the clubs for the end of the season and the playoff running, and they would not miss their CONCACAF Champion Cups obligation in those February matches against Cruz Azul. All right, so now they're going to players registered for two teams at the same time. This dictates that both players will be registered for both teams at the same time, as the said players would have played for Real Hope February 4 and 11, and 6 matches for Mount Pleasant between April 10 and 27, which means both players would have played for two different teams between the JFF transfer window and registration period. The 24-25 season first window closed on September 6, and the second one on January 31, 2025. And the next transfer window will be for the 25-26 season, which are the same dates, and as such would contravene Article 5.2 of the FIFA regulations, which I read earlier above. Considering the above, both Mr. Angelo Exelos and Judy Johnson would be registered for both teams. This would make them ineligible to play for any team in the world, specifically all matches they have participated in for both JPL and CONCACAF Champions Cup. And in keeping with the JPL regulations, all opponents should be awarded the match. And they just reiterate Article 17.2 there. So you see what that would mean. Players Exelos and Judy signed contracts to play for Mount Pleasant as of January 31, 2025, but they still played for Real Hope on February 4 and 11. This shows the intent to deceive, defraud, corrupt, and undermine the integrity of the JPL competition. Management personnel in each club have the responsibility to ensure that fraud like this does not take place, and they must accept full responsibility. It is their responsibility that only bona fide players are used to represent their respective teams. Also, the JFF would have dropped the ball in this case and should have been more diligent in ensuring the integrity of the JPL is maintained. I agree with that part as well. In any event, ignorance of the transgression of the players and our club is no excuse. Mount Pleasant should have done due diligence as the FIFA and JFF statutes requires on the status of players. The onus is always on the club to field bona fide players, with no exception as it relates to transfers. I am sure that the phrase "the transfer window slams shut at midnight" is the standard used by world standard MAs, and Jamaica Football Federation should follow suit to avoid situations like these. There are numerous settled cases, but in this one, where a player was registered for two clubs, the player was banned for 7 years, and the teams lost all the points the players participated in. Yours sincerely, Cavalier Soccer Club, Kishana Williamson, Chief Operating Officer. So in the appendix now, they have the 3 players from the racing game on the match card. Miguel, player 1, 2, and 3, which would be Judy, Exelos, and Thomas. Then they do show the other 5 games, the Chapelton Maroon game, where they highlight the 3 players. Arnett Gardens game, the 3 players highlighted again. Mobay United, they have just 2 of them in this one, Angelo and Clifford. Then the same 2 again when they played Mount Pleasant. when they played Cavaliers, sorry, the one game in these games that they didn't actually lose, right? And then Mullins United as well, Clifford and Angelo again in the team sheet. And then they also added the 2 team sheets from the Real Hope Cruz Azul tie, showing Angelo Johnson and Angelo and Johnson in the team both times. So they made sure to put all their evidence attached to it as well, with video links as well, first and second leg, and also this video about the 7 years ban for playing for 2 teams. Not sure why that was added. I don't know if they want a 7-year ban for the 2 players or the 3 players or whatever the case is, but yeah, quite a lengthy document, very detailed. I thought they touched some salient points in it as well, and the ball is now in the court of Mount Pleasant as far as how they would answer to these allegations. You can say whatever you want about corruption and why is it that Cavalier is the club doing all of this and all of that, but for me, people, right is right, and these things need to be stamped out. You know what I'm saying? No, it wouldn't be 18, it would be 15. So they played 6 games with ineligible players, allegedly. And of those 6 games, they would have gotten a positive result in 5 of them. The only game they didn't win was against Cavalier. And so that would just still be a loss for them, of course. I think that if the loss was more than 3-love, then it would stay at more than 3-love. If it was less than 3-love, I think that's the only change that would happen. Cavalier would be awarded a 3-0 victory as opposed to whatever victory they got. All the other games would be 3-0 as well. And it would be 5 games that they would lose 3 points from. So those 5 games, those 5 opponents get 3 points. I was the first person to say that very Phoenix United dead like dog. Yes, you did say that. He might worry with himself because he might use words that I don't think he knows the full meaning. Not the Jamaican meaning. Just check it. Goal differential can drop them to about 3rd. Yes, even without goal difference matters, they will drop to 3rd just on points, because 2 of the teams that will receive 3 points are the 2nd and 3rd place teams, Mobe and Arnett. So Mobe would move to 78, Arnett would move to 76. And if they lose 15 points, they would move from 90 to 75. So yeah. I'm lose off Mr. Speed as if he has all these information enough to bowl them up. He could have used this better the league, but in my opinion, he strategically held the information. And that's my thing, Joseph Brown. Too often, people with knowledge in Jamaica, they don't want to impart knowledge to people so they can get smarter. They act like they do. They say they want to, but they always want to educate people just enough for them to know less than them. That's the problem I have. Because if you know all of these things, why not try to better the league, stamp it out? Not saying that you shouldn't go for sanctions against them, but you knew this long before. So like Rob Smith was saying, strategic, it's done strategic. You cannot go around the fact that it's strategic. So close to the playoffs, you make some nice time build up to where the deduction can actually affect your placement and make you potentially have to play the quarterfinal instead of going straight to semi. It's you can't disregard that. His citing means they knew and held it. Yes, always remember the association and let it ride out. This is definitely conflict of interest, and clubs should push for him to vacate JFF. Rules are rules, but Speed held this intentionally. He could have stopped this after the first game. Yes, I agree. I said the same when they were saying people using eligible players for multiple games, and I'm like, why they don't just stop it at the source? Like, why is it? It's almost like the people that have the power to deduct points, they would rather be deducting points than prevent deduction of points. I don't understand that mindset. He put a bullseye on his back because acting as a club official or a JFF official, this is not a good look on him as well, but we all know he doesn't care. Plus how they highlight corruption. Yes, because what Speed will point to is he didn't have anything to do with any of this. This was the work of the COO, Kishana, and the secretary, and it wasn't Speed doing it. That's what he will say, because his name ain't on the document. Yes, he's a member of the club, a high-ranking official of the club, but there's no proof that is him do this. There's no proof. Now, we know Joseph Brown, we know, but he's too slick for that. He's not going to put his name on this anyway. Where it says Speed must put his name on it. That will never happen, Rob Smith. Never. His conflict of interest could be labeled corruption. It could be. It could be. Because if you are the head coach, if you are the technical director, sporting director, part owner or owner, whatever the title is, that's a lot. That's a lot right there. So you're responsible for the well-being of your players and you own the club. So a lot of times the club's best interest might not be in the best interest of the player. So right there, that's a bit of a conflict, He wants the players banned for the playoffs. Yeah, probably. Apparently, there's never a dull moment. Never, Peter Mystic. Always something. And I'd much rather talk about football, actual football playing. But this to me is important. It has to be spoken about. I heard about from last Sunday. Okay. The man got many jobs. Yeah, man. In closet's supposed to be full of hats, because him have whole heap. Man have a lot of jobs, man. So people, what's your take on all of this? Honestly, like, what is your honest take on all of this? Like, what could have been handled differently? My thing about all of this, again, is the point I just made. We need to be more concerned with preventing things from happening than catching people in this big got you moment. I don't think it's a good look for the league to constantly be having these issues with eligibility and feeling ineligible players. We have the capacity to police it ourselves. We do so by sending out emails to all clubs regarding potential and possible and suspended players. We can do the same for players that are ineligible as well. And there's no need to, sit back and see. There's no need to sit back and see, all right, let's see how long they'll break the rules. And then we drop the book on them. No. I mean, if you know that a player in question has an issue, from the minute that match official or match commissioner or whoever sees the name on the list, in the April 10th, the first game that one of those two players would have played, I would have said, hey, what's going on here? They played for Real Hope in February. That was after the window. Like, why couldn't it have been done on the day? So you give Mount Pleasant the chance on the day to correct their error. They don't make the mistake, right? And they take it to the requisite bodies and they figure out, is this player eligible or not, or what the case is. But no, they didn't do that, or they wouldn't do that. They would rather, all right, watch we and them. Let them think them do everything right. And we know them never do it right. And we'll just wait until the best time to drop the sanctions or drop the allegations, and I think that's wrong. And I don't know if this is true or not, people. It's just something I heard, and this is a rumor, but there's more conflict than just with Speed, because I heard a rumor, people. I don't know how true it is, but Kishana herself is actually on the competitions committee. And Kishana was able to kind of start the research and get this information based on her position in said committee. Now, again, that is all alleged, people. All alleged. I don't know if that's true. Anybody with that information, let me know if Kishana is actually on the actual competitions committee, who she wrote to the chair of that committee that she's in, but from the capacity of the COO of Cavaliers Club. So the conflicts I'm telling you, people, you guys, Speed is the most prominent conflict. So you guys talk about Speed all the time. But people, how is it that if I'm going to be in these subcommittees or on the board or in the JFF, I would have had to have been in a parish association or with a club that's a member of a parish association. So are you telling me that when I become a part of the JFF, I immediately relinquish all of my positions with the clubs that I would have been with to get into the JFF in the first place? No, you're gonna still be with those clubs. So why we only beat Speed for conflict of interest when all kind of conflict of interest in the football from everywhere? Speed are not the only one. Speed is just the most popular one. It's alleged that Speed wants C. Williams out of the JPL because of one club I know vote against Speed. He never like it. JPL fan is dead in with laugh because he knows. He would have been privy to some of this information as well. And it's just ridiculous. Rob Smith said, the other issue, why are things always caught by other clubs, never the ruling body? Well, I think, Rob Smith, you're getting the answer with what I just said, because the ruling body is actually the other clubs. Because other clubs and clubs in general make up the committees of these ruling bodies. So you guys are always focusing on this one-man conflict when the entire thing is conflicted. JFF really need to sort out this. See what I mean? When I saw Jamaican meaning, but them don't care, it seems. Yeah, exactly. That's nonsense. How can she be on competition committee and lodge a complaint as a member, as a club? Jamaica is very unserious. But Rob Smith, that's the thing. There's not enough people to go around in the football that wouldn't be affiliated to clubs unless they are willing to open up the rules for membership in the JFF. There should be more independent people of clubs in the JFF. But there's just not enough people in the football that would be independent of clubs because they're not involved in football if they're not with the clubs. You know what I'm saying? So I've been asking this for time, since I've been starting the channel, since I was just in chats talking. The conflict of interest exists in Jamaica football, but what is the solution? Because in order to be in the football in Jamaica at the federation level, you'd have to be involved with the parish association or a club. So do you relinquish your posts with all these clubs and parish associations when you're with the federation or with these subcommittees or standing committees? No, you don't. So how would there be no conflict if all the committee members are members of clubs that would be doing filings against the clubs, whether it's your rival or your club itself? They're all tangled up in this web together, all the same set of people ruling against and for. So how can you avoid conflict? It's not possible. JFF need to fire Speed, let him stay. But Travis, that's the thing, bro. JFF wouldn't have a JFF. You would have to fire everyone. Everybody is involved with clubs somewhere along the line. Speed has the greater visibility and continues to deny that the conflict exists. Well, I will give it that. I don't think he denies that it exists. I think he overplays that it's being managed. I think he says that they're managing the conflict, but I don't think that they are. But I don't think he denies that it exists. Maybe I missed when he said that. Well, Speed himself always stated, everyone, thank you. That's what I have heard, JPL. That's what I have heard, JPL. He always says that it's there, it exists, and I appreciate that because it does. He would be lying if he said it doesn't exist. But my question is, how does it not exist? Based on the structure and the way it is, how does it not exist, people? How? It has to exist. All right, people, I'm making an adjustment to the title because based on the time, I know we're not going to get to the striker pool part of this conversation, but I do want to talk on Warner Brown's interview on JFF Live. So I am going to pull up the audio from that, people. And of course, as we move into the news of the day, we'll be keeping tabs on the news coming out of the JFF and the JPL regarding this whole situation. We're hearing that appeals will be taking place, and so we're just waiting for some more information to add to the story. If there is more to follow, I will definitely return with that. I should probably not tonight though. Tonight I'm doing the preview show for the weekend's EPL, and pretty soon here I'll be not doing any watch along, but I'll be watching the European games, the Europa League and Conference League. I'll be tuning into those. So yeah, about afternoon of football, then I'm training with my daughter in the evening. So when you see me again later, it will be more rooted in the EPL discussion, the European football discussion, but that will leave open Friday. So maybe perhaps Friday night we'll run out with a show just following up, because I do think that part two will be a follow up with more information from the rulings and stuff. And but my main point was just to get the information out there to those who might not know, and also to just point out that, listen, we all want to have a boogeyman in these situations. For everyone, it is Rudolph Speed. But I'm telling you, move Rudolph Speed, the next person in his post or with his power is going to be another version of him. Maybe it won't be such a deep conflict with the fact that Speed is actually the owner of a club and head coach of a club. I don't think that would exist in another place other than with him. But at the same time, there's going to be some level of conflict regardless, because of the way that the Constitution is written currently. You have to be involved with a club or with a parish association. You don't immediately lose all ties to that club becoming a member of the JFF. It doesn't happen that way. So it is what it is. DJ Gig said, get people outside of the country. No, Travis is going to hate this idea that don't have shares in the clubs to run the JFF, because I think they're doing a poor job anyway, in my opinion. No, you're wrong. Only Speed, Cavalier, Stevens at MPA that I know is involved with clubs. Bruce Kane at ABU. But Travis, you're talking about at the board of directors level. I'm talking about the standing committees in the football, Travis. The standing committees. So the competitions committee that will have the power to rule on this whole thing, they have conflicts all throughout the committee, boss. That's what I'm saying. It's not just the board of directors I'm talking about. And funny enough, people act as if the committees don't have power to, but they do. The finance committee, the technical committee, these committees have power and they have conflicts in them. And that you want, no diaspora people can run our football. Yeah, I knew Travis would not like that idea. He thinks that I don't believe Travis believes that the diaspora can add anything for the local football because we're not there, Who on the standing committee? Well, Travis, I will tell you. I know, I have heard, well, I don't know, because for whatever reason, these standing committees are like trying to dig for gold in Georgia where I live. But I cannot get for the life of me a list of the standing committees, who's actually on them. Let me check something, because last time somebody did tell me that they're in the Constitution, but I don't think they are. There's a list of the actual committees, but not a list of the actual people on the committees. But Travis, you're telling me to name them. So, all right. So, can you tell me definitively, Travis, that on the standing committees, I think there are about 8 or 9 of them in the JFF. None of those people have any conflict with clubs in Jamaica. None of the people on those committees. Is that what you're telling me? Yeah, the standing committees are the Finance Committee, Competitions and Regulations Committee, which is what would be in question for this Referees and Assessors Committee, Women's Football Committee, Player Status Committee, Technical and Development Committee, that Speeds Domain, Medical Committee, and Marketing and Commercialization Committee. Those are the committees, the standing committees. But again, they're okay. So it consists of a chairperson, which we know is Gregory Daly from the letter, a deputy chairperson, and 5 members, and 5 other members. So I would love to know the 7 people that make up that committee. So all you investigative journalists in the chat, let me know. Yes, he got. I don't know if it was fired or part. It said part ways, so I don't know if he was fired or how it go. I remember, when we say he got fired from JFF make sure correctly and say he wasn't rehired. He wasn't. His contract wasn't renewed. So I don't think it was a contract situation with them, but it could have been mutual. I don't know. But I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline. Does diaspora people run Mexico, USA, and Canada confederations? No, they don't. Not that I know of. But don't you always tell me we shouldn't watch Mexico and USA and what Canada do. Maybe we need something special, brother. Them take diaspora money though. Of course. And Travis, say this a part of the reason why YouTube gone bad in a way. Because look what you do with JPL fan. Because he might tell him put in the chat, or he might ask me, if me hear about the firing of Lauren Donaldson, right? And you say I still knows that. So because it's still news, he can't ask me about it. Or stay some man, you make YouTuber run out with information and make them have to retract them statement, because they will want to be the first, Don't have that mindset, man. Suppose the man never hear about it till today. No country is going to turn over their ruling body to people outside of the country. The checks and balances is what need adjustment. Yeah, that is true, Rob Smith. I don't think, look, I'm not saying to turn it over, because I don't know why whenever we have these conversations, it becomes such an all or nothing thing. Like, I'm saying that it wouldn't hurt to have some minds on these committees, or even on the board itself. We include the diaspora in everything else we do, the picking of the teams, the sourcing of finances, everything else we include it, instead of on these committees or on this board. And to me, it doesn't make sense. Now, I understand, you would want the board members and the committee members to have Jamaican citizenship. I get that. But the fact that they have to live in Jamaica for a certain amount of years, to me, is ludicrous. What diaspora money have to do with football when my aunts in England send me money? Active Bomb Sports. May I tell the people them look out for your video, because some of the questions people asking me, I don't have the answers for. But Bam, you might be able to help me with this. Do you happen to know the names on the competition and regulation committee? Like, we learned the name of the chairperson, Gregory Daly, right? We don't know who that is because his name was on the letter. But do you happen to know the committee members' names and the chairperson name, or the deputy chairperson? Yeah, they will laugh. The structure in football or life in Jamaica is not designated to utilize human resources. Yes, that is true. That is true. Just one more player that them hype up, that's not at the level of international football. Oh gosh. Maggie. Who a ball for what list Maggie? You're reaching. Yeah, Travis narrate Maggie. Big up Lansley. Boy, Lansley, a madness are going. Ian Campbell is the head of competition. So, all right. So, BAM Sports, you say he's the head of competition, right? So, what is this then? I've just looked at the committee members, and there is nothing there that says anything about wait, name there. Committee members. Let me see if I can get this on the screen. Can I open this in? Nah. Don't let me zoom. Why not? All right, let me get this on the screen, people, because I'm looking at the JFF constitution, right? And I just wanted to see like the people that make up the committee. Now, for whatever reason, this thing won't let me zoom. I don't know why, but I'll just read it. It says Article 47, and that is in relation to the Competition and Regulations Committee, which would be overseeing this whole thing, this whole situation here. And it says the Competitions and Regulations Committee shall organize JFF's competitions of association football, futsal, and beach soccer at any level within JFF in compliance with the provisions of the Constitution and the regulations applicable to JFF's competitions. It shall consist of a chairperson, right, a deputy chairperson, and 5 members. So are you saying that the actual chairperson of the committee is Ian Campbell? Is that what you're saying, Bam? Let me know. Gregory Daly is St. James FA president. Yes. I am aware. Yeah, man, his team was struggling defensively. Overall, Campbell is not affiliated to club. Okay, thank you. So that's there should be 5 other names in that committee. So I just want proof that none of them are affiliated to any clubs. So we have 2 names, Gregory Daly and Ian Campbell. Ian Campbell is the head of competition. So what this is confusing though, Bam, because there's no title in the committee that says head of competition. So what does this mean? There's a chairman or a chairperson and a deputy chairperson. So are you saying that Ian Campbell is the chairperson? Like, what are you saying here, Bam Sports? Let me know. Because there is no head of competition on the committee based on the constitution of the JFF. So what is head of competition? What is that title? And as a reminder, people, these are the okay. So head of competition. So head of what do you mean? So he's a PFJL head of competition. What's the significance of Campbell in the matter or in the committee? In the competition and regulation committee, that is. Stuart Arthur, St. Mary's, and Just Bet are Reggae Boyz new sponsors. That's good. The Arthur is always needed. When them get a banana chip sponsor, remember that them don't normally put their names on things. They got ghost position. Yeah, that's the problem, bro. I'm trying to fight. Bro, I've been trying to find from yesterday the members of this committee, bro. And it's like, as you could have swear me, I asked people to loan me 2 million US. The way them are going. Like, it's just like pulling teeth to try to find these people. But this is the board of directors. They finally updated it on the website. So kudos to them. For a while, it was the old board. But Ricketts president, Chung secretary, Raymond Grant, the vice president, Elaine Walker Brown, the vice president, Gregory Daly, he's the head of the competition and regulation committee. He's from I think where he said St. James. He said St. James FA president. Yes, thank you. And then Baron Watson, vice president as well. So you have the 4 vice presidents there: Elaine Walker Brown, Raymond Grant, Gregory Daly, and Baron Watson or Barry Watson. And then you have chairman of the 4 regions. So you have Northeast, Southwest, Southeast, and Northwest. That Sheridan Samuels has Northwest, Mark Bennett has Southeast, Errol Stevens Northeast, and Patrick Malcolm Southwest. And then you have 2 directors, non-vice presidents, non-chairman of any region, and that's Rudolph Speed and Bruce Gaynor. So those are the 12 board members right there. Daly is heading up the chairman of the committee in question dealing with this matter today. Let me see if it actually Constitution. I don't think them name anybody in this, Elections, man. Board of directors. I get a call, people. Let me see if the person want to actually be on the program or not. So Obama call me now. Hold on, let me see if he want to on the show. All right, so it look like somebody give me a call. They want to come onto the show. So let me open up the line because this person I know is somebody that have a very good handle on the situation, been tracking it. As I say, he's the first person I see talk about it about, when I say 4 or 5 days ago now. So this should be beneficial to the conversation. So let me just add. All right, how do I do this now? You know what I'm gonna do? So send them on the link, yeah, man. That's the easiest thing. And you can just talk same way. You know, for turn on your weight name there. Yeah, just click on that there. Click on that there, boss, and just forward that way there. Cause we never even did set up the phone line to come through the show here. So I don't want to hold up the show and set that up. Yeah, people. So we're going to close out the show with a guest here to just shed some more light on the situation. They are black stage now, so this is a person that I think most of you would have known by now, and if you don't, you've been living under a rock. Zine. So big up and welcome to the program. I don't even know if you've been on the platform before, but long overdue. BAM Sports, welcome to Jason Gooner TV.
Yo, bless up, bro. Where you going?
Well, I'm there, BAM. I try to make sense out of nonsense, bro.
Yes, so what may I say to you is, I'm saying Gregory Daly is the chairman of the competitions committee. Okay. But you have a competitions department, and Ian Kemble is the head of that.
So the competitions department, that's a subcommittee of the.
No, man, the competition department is a department within the JFF. They oversee and handle all competitions. So tier 2, and them are the one that make the fixtures, them tabulate points. They are the one where provide the regulations, the guidelines. Like that's an actual department, bro. When they register players on the JFF Connect system, it goes through them. They are the final arbiter on transfers, all of them stuff there.
Okay, so what exactly then does the standing committee of the JFF that Dale is in charge of? What is
the competition committee? So in a sense, the competition committee would be like an oversight body for the competition department.
Okay.
Yeah. So the
reason why I asked that question specifically is because based on Article 47 in the Constitution, It says the Competitions and Regulations Committee shall organize JFF's competitions of association football, futsal, and beach soccer at any level.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, so you have,
what is the need for another committee?
No, I'm saying the department that Kimberly is a part of is not a committee. It's an actual department where the JFF employ people to run that department. So yeah, you have the competition committee now, but the day, all right. So you're a registered player now. You know, go to the competition committee for them go meet and say, yo, the player register or whatever. You have a department who day to day them do them stuff there. Registration of players. I mean, when the league them are gonna start, at them send out the rules. All them the day-to-day stuff after the competition, tabulate points.
So if that was the case, Bam, wouldn't this letter that Cavalier sent be better addressed to Mr. Campbell then?
No, because yo, me can't tell you why it can't address to him. But the idea is them I got to his boss, essentially, or the person who is. I mean, because the competition committee don't just made up of people who is employed to the JFF now. Because based on my little research in gathering,
and remember, you have to be careful when you say competition committee. Are you talking about Daly's or Campbell's?
No man, Daly's.
Okay, so when you say committee, you're talking Daly. When you say department, you're talking Campbell.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And that's for the viewers. So, I was following.
So the competition committee would be the final arbiter. So I mean, yeah, in the natural scheme of things, if you have an issue, you would have sent it to the competition department and say, yo, check out this. But in this case, I think the letter went to the right person or the right division or whatever, the right entity in this case.
Fair enough. Now, my other question now. The members of the competition committee, are those names made public?
Not to the best of my knowledge, brother. Like, yo, so far, me can only come up with 2 people that on the committee, there, brother. The chairman and one other person. And me not gonna name the other person name yet because we need to make sure say them on the committee.
Okay, because I have tried several channels, whether they were JFF employees, members outside the JFF, people that is in Jamaica, and nobody has been able to produce a list of names of those committees. So I don't know why that is so guarded. Maybe for situations like this, I don't know. But I think that is wrong. I think
I know that there's one member on that committee who is from a club.
Okay.
In the JPL.
Okay.
So
and again, to my point earlier about conflicts being everywhere,
who is not conflicted in this situation either?
Oh, the person that you're talking about, got you.
Yeah, they don't have anything to benefit from this.
Well, here's the thing, right? I don't see how, if the way the JFF is comprised, most of the time, if you're in the JFF as a voting member,
you are affiliated to a club or a part association.
You have to be. So I don't understand when people say, you know, this man conflicted, that person conflicted. Is it that they just want to pick and choose which ones they want to beat for conflicting? Because to me, it seems like there is no way to avoid it, Bam. I mean, am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you aren't.
And that is why I don't really understand how we get around certain things happening in the football, because too many people with positions to make rulings stand things to gain from their rulings. And that's always going to cause problems in the football. Always.
Yeah, but this situation though is, I would say, quite unfortunate, for want of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, what do you, because I thought one of the most surprising things I thought about the whole letter, right? I don't know if you agree with this, but you can give me your thoughts. When they mentioned that basically they said, listen, the only way this could have been executed is if both clubs in question would have kind of talked about it. Do you think that Cavalier was right to put that in their letter? Because that's a damning allegation that, you know.
Whether them right or not, I think they were trying to highlight a greater point. So maybe they think that information was important in bringing that point across. The fact that probably.
Yeah, because I think the biggest thing in this whole thing, right, and the biggest eye opener for me when I was trying to figure out things and getting information was when I found out that the two competitions actually use different systems for the players. And I said, well, that right there is how this could have happened, you know, because
so in competition, them use Comet, and in JFF, our Premier League, them use JFF, FIFA Connect. Those systems are not connected, them exclusive.
right.
So you may very well have one playing one thing, and because when you're using, all right, so like the teams that qualify for CONCACAF competitions, even though they have the players registered in JFF Connect, they must also register them in CONCACAF Comet. Because CONCACAF Comet is where the clubs, and every club have an account in Comet, because that's where they apply for their club licensing.
Got you. So, but here's the thing though. How is it that the Comet, right?
Yeah.
All right, so how does that work in regards to the TMS? Because isn't TMS something that's linked to FIFA?
Yeah, man. So the TMS and the FIFA Connect are connected.
So I think CONCACAF deserves some beating in all of this too as well then, because how can you have
the idea though is I guess I'm not sure why. I think CONCACAF use Comet because as their universal thing, because maybe every different country them have different systems that them use for register. Because I don't think the FIFA Connect thing is, I don't think it's mandatory because it's just recently we started use that, and we've been playing CONCACAF competitions for many years.
True.
So I don't know if it's really mandatory. Or maybe CONCACAF wanted a system where they are saying, hey, regardless of what you use in your jurisdiction, you must use it in ours. And it's a similar system in a sense. It's just that it's not they don't feed into each other.
Well, and the only reason why I bring up that point is like, you know, for that same reason that you said CONCACAF would have wanted something uniform, I would think that CONCACAF clubs would want some form of uniformity amongst their member associations with what they use, because at the end of the day, you want to encourage clubs to be transferring players throughout the region. And if something like this can so easily happen just based on the fact that one competition use one and the other competition use one, I think that same level of uniformity they were going for there needs to transform or translate into the separate countries as well, so that it's, you know, the more uniformity you have, the less of a chance something like this can happen. Because remember, I had mentioned when I first heard it that, listen, for me, Mount Pleasant can just say, look, Real Hope and their system they were using in that competition, they were registered to play for them. But as far as we're concerned, what we use, they would have been registered with us in the right time, so we can use them within this time frame. Now, you can't really make sense of the fact that they played games in February, right? So what I want to know as well, Bam, it seemed like in the evidence, none of it really pointed to Clifford Thomas playing any game outside the window. So how is it that Clifford was included in all of this? Bam, you there?
Yo, you know.
Oh, you just did cut out for a second, but we are here, you know.
Yeah, I don't think he's one of the players that is being questioned in terms of his eligibility because his team never progressed to the CONCACAF thing. They fell out early.
So really his thing is more about them having evidence that he just signed after the 31st, not necessarily about him playing games for any other team.
Once it is that they receive his international clearance, the club can register him at any point in time they want.
So what is it that you have to prove that he would have signed a document with you?
You would have gotten an international clearance for him
So the
before the
clearance has
window.
to go through prior to the 31st.
Well, you most definitely have to apply for it before. You can get it after, but you have to apply for it before.
Okay, and the reason why I asked that is they made sure to point out that these players' registration would have
But in the document though, the source of their registration date is SofaScore and Soccerway.
which is not really what would be binding to the league.
No, so the JFF, I suppose the onus would be now on the JFF to say they were registered at this time, X or Y time, and probably provide the
They would get
information.
that information through their through their Connect system.
Yeah, so that's where Ian Kemba now would come in, because he would be the one because whenever clubs register players in the JPL or Tier 2, he's usually the final, what you say now?
Ian Campbell.
Ian Kemba.
Okay.
Yeah, so what? Remember, he's the chief administrator for the Connect system, you know. So even if you are, and also for CONCACAF Connect too, you know. So when a new club come in the JPL and they need to get a club license, they have to have a set up a user access for Connect. He's the one that assists you with that. He's the same one that assists you with getting the FIFA Connect administrative access.
Well, I learned something new today, because I thought he only dealt with like paperwork for people trying to represent Jamaica. I didn't know he had anything to do with any of this.
No, brother, I said Ian Campbell, not Ian Campbell.
Got you. That's what was confused. I was like, Ian Campbell, the same Ian Campbell we know from.
No. This is the head of the competition.
Okay, so the same Ian Campbell guy. Okay, got you.
Yeah. So to the best of my knowledge, I think the competition department, I suppose, well, I don't know. From ever since when we used to deal with them still, I know of 3 people who work there. Ian, there is another lady, and there's a person that signed the affidavit.
Okay. Yeah. And to your knowledge, none of these people are affiliated to any clubs.
Well, I don't know. I know that Ian is an employee of the JFF, you know. So I don't know if I don't think he's I don't know. To be honest, I know of him when I started interacting with the JFF. So I don't know if he's affiliated in a club.
Got you. All right, no problem. All right, Bam, it's sticky though. But you will be doing a program, or have you done it already, or let the people know where they can?
No, I'm not doing a video, bro. As in, do it already still. But I think I'm gonna do it over back. I missed something. I missed a point.
Yeah, look, I was reluctant to run out today with it because I don't have all the info, but to be honest, I have enough info to at least have a conversation. So I thought it was still, you know, a good thing to do. And plus, again, when the first situation came up with Veer gonna lose points and teams gonna lose points and all of this, I was of the mindset that, look, if we have the capability to send out to clubs, this is who suspend, this is who can't play, why bother let the people actually play the game, right? And that's the way I look at it, Bam. If we have the capability to police these things before they happen, what is the benefit of people getting fined and sanctioned and losing points? I don't think it's a good look. I don't know if you agree with that, but I just don't see why. I think in this case, prevention better than the cure. And we actually have the things in place to prevent, but we're still letting the things happen just to say, oh, we'll catch you later. Well, I don't think, what benefit is that to the league?
Yeah, it's a messy situation, bro. It is.
I just don't see the benefit to it, bro. I don't see the benefit to it. I know, like, you know, I guess for like entertainment purpose, maybe that's why, you know, people had said, boy, the league get kind of boring and the league too long, and, you know, maybe this will drum up some more excitement. I don't know, but I would rather drum up the excitement on the pitch, bro, with the games than something like this. And I know they say any publicity good, but in this case where it's a league that I think a lot of people think that it's below the standard we could get it, I don't think this does anything in the mind of improving how people think about the league. You know what I'm saying? So in that regard, I think it's a bad thing.
I agree.
You
All
know,
right,
we're going to watch the space, Bam. Thanks for clearing up the few things where you clear up just now. And people, make sure to like, share, and subscribe Bam content as well. As I say, himself, Knockins, Unseen, JPL, MG, anybody who may never say Info Media, all of these guys definitely keep me in the loop as far as, you know, I can't be physically there, you know what I'm saying? And I can't be in the JFF because I don't live there. But these guys keep me in the loop, you know what I'm saying? So I do appreciate what you guys do, and it makes me available and able to actually make a content like this and feel like I can talk from a knowledge standpoint, right? So really, really appreciate the work you guys put in. Makes it a lot easier for me to be able to comment and make content in regards to what's going on in Jamaica for sure. So big up again, Bam Sports, and make sure you guys tune in, follow, and share his content. Subscribe to him. He said that he has a video prepared, but you know, due to the news, I'm sure coming in very quickly and by the minute, he'll probably be editing and amending that video throughout the day until he can release it a bit later. But we'll definitely be looking out for that, and I will definitely watch that when I do see it. All right, people. But yeah, we have pretty much come to the end of the program. As I said, I had a feeling that I would have to like remake the title of this video because I knew that we would be here for quite a while, which we ended up being. So we didn't get to the Warner Brown discussion or the striker pool discussion. So that will carry over into the following Reasoning Time episode. I'm going to try to get one done this weekend. Maybe Friday night, a special different time frame for me, but maybe we do a Friday night Reasoning Time show. More people might be available, not at work and stuff, and try to get it done early enough so we're not doing it too late for those who want to get some sleep, right? So yeah, man, big up to all those who tuned in today, all those who commented, like, share, subscribe. Let me see how the likes looking on this video today. Didn't really spend a lot of time asking for likes, but you guys should know how this thing works by now. All of you are seasoned YouTube campaigners at this point, so you guys should know that the like is very, very important for the content. All right, so come on, people, let's see if we can get at least to the 50 likes, people. And of course, we know that many folks wouldn't have watched this in real time. They will click on it later. If you happen to do so, people, please do hit the like button while you're rewatching the video. It definitely helps with the visibility of the content. And I think that what we spoke about today is definitely worth some eyes and ears. So people, do your jobs. I can take a phone call on the stream. Yes, I can. Let me see if I can get the... All right, let me do that then. Peter Mystic want to make a call. So let me do that real quick. I will open the phone line so that people can actually call. Here's the WhatsApp calling number, people. So call that number. I think I'll be able to... I'll just answer it on here. If you want to call Peter, just link that number there. Share a tab. Now wait for the call, you know. Or go on. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Greetings, Jason.
Go on, Peter Mystic.
Greetings. Greetings to all your listeners and viewers. Listen,
hold on 1 second, Peter. Let me make sure they're hearing you. Can you guys hear Peter on the phone line? You should be able to, but I'm not certain. And if not, we have a next strategy we can use. People, just drop a thumbs up in the comment section if you're hearing Peter Mystic, please and thanks.
Tested 1, 2, 3.
All right, you know what? I think, to be safe, Peter, hang up and I'm going to call you right back. Oh, no, they say they're hearing you. All right, go on, go through.
Yeah, so I was listen, I didn't get a chance to start listening to your program. In fact, how long you run this program? For about a couple of hours?
Yeah, I started about 2 hours ago, maybe. Yeah, about 2 hours.
So I out of the whole 2 hours, brethren, I probably listen about 30 minutes, if that much.
Okay.
Because due to work. So forgive me if I get something wrong, and everybody in the chat forgive me. But I hear you talking about the delay in putting this thing forward and how it doesn't help the league and all of that. So I was listening to the Oral Tracer program this morning, and he was talking about the same incident, right, with Mount Pleasant losing points. So what I wanted to say was, and I don't know the timeline, like I said, you guys can correct me. It sounded to me like there was never a breach when the players play for Mount Pleasant. You can't stop me anywhere, Jason, before I go further. The breach happened when they went back. It sounded like they were loaned back to their clubs. For some reason, they weren't playing, and the club said, since they're not playing, let us use them. And I think that's where the breach happened. So, in other words, I don't know the timeline.
No, so let me help you a little bit with that. So there are two players in particular that I think are the biggest allegations would be against, right? And they're the two players that played for Real Hope in the Champions Cup. Now, Cavalier is alleging that these two players would have been signed within the January transfer window, which would then mean that they could not represent Real Hope in February, because that would have been after the window would have closed.
Right.
Now, even if they were to loan those two players back to Real Hope, in the relegations of the JPL, there is a rule that states if you loan a player that you own to another club, that player cannot return from loan and play for you until the conclusion of the following transfer window.
Oh.
So that would mean that even if they said, listen, you're not playing much for us in February, so go play these 2 games with your club, that would mean that they could not be used again until after the season was over and the next season started.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a clear up of what you were just saying. So we know then that it couldn't have been a loan situation, because they still would be ineligible to play the games they would have played in April for Mount Pleasant.
Okay, but they played in April, right?
They played 6 fixtures from April 10th to the 27th. Yes.
Right, and then this we're still in. Well, we just come out of April, so this would have been filed in April.
The date on the actual filing.
Hold on. Let's back up a minute. If we're saying that Cavalier knew this information before, how soon did Cavalier knew? You understand what I'm saying? Because if the breach happened in April, we just really come out of April. Today's May 1st.
Well, so let's say I'm arguing on the side of Cavalier just doing this as upstanding citizens of Jamaica and the league, right?
Right.
They would have known these players would have played for Real Hope from in February. Now, maybe the fact that they waited until now was to see if those players would ever make an appearance in this season for Mount Pleasant, because
Right.
they could, really and truly, if they play in February and it doesn't affect this league for the rest of this season, chances are maybe they didn't get it over the line in January or whatever the case was. That's why they played in February for those teams. But when these players are deemed to have played matches in the Premier League starting April 10th, then that would open itself for me as a club to investigate what's going on. Now, what I don't understand of all of this, Peter, is why they would have waited until the match on the 9th, on the 10th, and the match on the 14th, and the match on the 19th, and all these matches they would have played with the players in question. Why then wouldn't have they drafted up something to say whatever they're saying? I don't know.
So you're saying from the 10th to the 30th is 20 days. Why take so long? That's what you're saying?
That's basically what I'm saying. What was the need for them to see them do it 4 more times or 5 more times if from that first game you knew it was wrong?
Okay, all right. Then I can't disagree with you there unless filing the thing, unless Cavalier were doing some in-depth research and making sure.
Look, if you have a chance, you should probably go back and watch some more of the video, because I did actually put on screen what they submitted, and you'll see that they did their research, and there's a lot of dates that they referenced and a lot of articles and sections they referenced. So they did, I would say this probably took about 7 days to draft, because it's so, it's really thorough how they did it.
Yeah.
So look, if they went about it the way I think they did, which would have produced this document, I think it would have taken at least a week, like a working week, like 5 days,
Yeah.
But still,
because listen to me,
it could have been put out earlier, I think, personally.
No, but Cavalier really don't have much or anything to gain, because
the only thing Cavalier has to gain, you're right. Yeah, and funny enough, in the actual article they sent, they made sure to point that out, that Cavalier won't be getting any points from these games, right? But I think where they do stand to gain is upsetting a potential rival's momentum going into the playoffs. And furthermore, maybe the fact that they waited until that amount of games was to ensure that when they get back the points, potentially they drop off the perch of the top 2, which is what could happen. Because if they lose 15 points and Mobe and Arnett get the 3 points that they would have gotten from the ineligible game, then those 2 teams go ahead of Mount Pleasant,
Yeah.
So, when you look at it from a strategic point of view, them waiting that amount of time could actually make a big difference, because it forces Mount Pleasant to play 2 more games in the playoffs.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. That could be, to me, that could be at a detriment to Cavalier, because Cavalier is going to have to play in the the quarterfinal.
Yes.
You don't? If I'm Cavalier, I don't want to play Mount Pleasant in the quarterfinal.
But based on how the numbers look now, I don't believe, even with that docking of points, I'm almost certain that the 4th place team can't catch them, or the 5th.
Right.
So that would mean that they literally only can finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. And if all the top 3 teams get positive results, meaning wins in the last game, then they will play the 6th place team going into the playoffs, and Cavalier is the 4th place team. So they would still avoid playing them until the final, potentially. So look, everywhere you spin it, and I'm not saying that Cavalier took that much thought into this part of it. I'm not going to level that at them. But it does look a bit like why the timing worked out well for them to at least ensure that one of their main rivals potentially have 2 more games to play in the playoffs. Because if they had said it 1 game earlier, that 15 points would be 12, and then we're having a different conversation right now.
Well, Jason, I don't know if you look too deep into this, because
I'm sorry, that's the only way I can. That's the only way I can. Maybe that's why I get myself in a traveling problem sometimes. But look, man, coincidence happens in life, Peter. But a lot of times, deeper meaning can explain things, and I would like to think that there are some deeper meanings at play here.
Yeah. All right. Well, leave it at that. You say you didn't touch the water bill.
No, my intention was to have part of the show be about this, and then I was going to move into the Warner Brown interview that we saw on JFF Live. For members, it would have been out a week or so ago, but it came out for, just subscribers of the channel today. And I thought there were some very pertinent points in it I wanted to address and discuss. And I will at some point, but I don't want to make this show become a marathon. I think 2 hours is about the time span that we can stay, in tune with what's going on. So we'll leave this one to just this topic. I think that will make it for easy watchback viewing as well, so people not looking for it. So this entire show, people would have been dedicated to this. So it's my little thoughts on it from what I gathered, the information I gathered, and I had BAM Sports come on in the end, which you heard, and of course you're calling now. So I'll keep the program running for a little bit longer in case anybody else wants to call. But Peter Mystic, we really do appreciate the phone call and keep supporting my brother.
Yeah, man. I will rewatch, re-listen.
Yeah, man, it was full of some good info and some nice convo. So yeah, man, take it in.
All right, thank you.
All right, big up, Peter. Respect. Yes, people. So that was Peter Mystic calling to give his take on the whole situation. Yeah, and I think, as I said, it was a good convo today. I think people definitely had their say in the comment section as well. So we appreciate that, the interactive nature of that. And yeah, I wanted to bring some facts to the people on the screen as well, so people can't say I'm making up anything and stuff that I didn't really have the answer for. We will try to gather that info as best we can. So my homework, people, honestly, is going to be this. I need to find out the names on the respective committees. We found out the head of the competition department, which we learned about today from BAM Sports, that's Ian Campbell, and we knew that the chairperson or chairman of the competitions committee, that's the JFF standing committee, the competitions and regulations committee, that is Mr. Gregory Daly. So we found out those names. We need to find out some more, and we need to figure out, we go down that conflict road and we see where they lead, and that should give us some more answers as well. So people, it was my pleasure to bring you this content. Not my pleasure to bring you this content matter or subject matter, but it's a part of the football that we have to try to talk about to eradicate. So yeah, these things are going to keep coming into play. The more and more, different people end up with all these different hats and different committees. And are they the ruling committee? Are they an opposing, a rival? Are they the people themselves? Too much of that revolving, tangled web. We don't want it so much in the football, people. We have to find a way to have administrators that aren't so compromised in their rulings and dealings. All right, people, but it's the way of the Jamaican football structure, and we just have to work around it and with it and through it. And we just need to have more mechanisms in place to ensure that these conflicts are not arising so frequently. All right, people. But listen, it was my pleasure, as I said before, to bring you the news from my point of view. And yeah, man, thanks so much to all those who supported, all the new subscribers that joined today. We really do appreciate that as well. And anybody who helped to get the word out there by sharing the content, liking the video, we greatly appreciate you guys as well. Of course, we do have a membership here as well, just like JFF Live. You can become a member of the channel for $1.99. It's just another way to show your support. Of course, you can always drop your chats in the form of a super chat as well to help out monetarily. But people, thanks again for tuning in. My name is Jason Gooner. This is Jason Gooner TV. And until next time, people, do better with the football, Jamaica. Peace and love. Bless.